everybody. Okay, today is a science day. So today I'm going to be taking you through what the plan is for the 25-26 school year for science for my upcoming 4th grader, upcoming 6th grader. Okay, we're going to start off with the one that's probably going to take the biggest chunk of time, and this is Berean builders. And I will take you guys through this curriculum in here. This is fairly new to me. I only recently found out about this. I want to say sometime in the fall, I think, of this year. Prior to that, I had never heard of it before. Never. So what I did is I ended up getting one book for each child because I have a rising 4th grader, rising 6th grader, and I honestly feel they just need to have their own copies so that when they go and they do work or labs or anything like that, they have something to refer back to. So I believe that they say that this is kindergarten through 6th grade. So take it as you will. To be honest, I don't know how I feel about that age range from kindergarten to 6th grade. I think that it would go over the average child's head, I think. I think more probably likely 4th to 6th grade, I think would be probably a more realistic like age range for this. So I picked this one. They actually have, I think 5 or 6 books to this series, and it kind of takes you from the beginning of time all the way to modern times and through the scientific inventions and revelations and stuff that they've had along the way. So that's how this goes. And I didn't pick the first one because that I think is from the beginning of times. I did pick the second to the first one, which is a science in the ancient world. And I picked this one because we're going to be studying ancient civilizations this year. And I thought, well, that's a really nice tie-in because it's kind of like all interwoven and stuff. So that is why I picked this one. I should also start off by saying that this is a non-secular curriculum, so it will have biblical tie-ins and stuff. I haven't done as thorough of a flip through of this curriculum as I normally do on others. I had researched it as much as I possibly could, and when I got this back in late fall, because I actually ordered this early, I had flipped through and looked through like a lot of it, and I didn't find anything that was too crazy or anything like that. We are a Christian homeschool family. I should say Christian family, but I prefer my homeschool content to be secular. But this did not bother me. And just for reference too, just to lay some context, I use Apologia every now and then for science too. I've used zoology too, and I've used the astronomy unit, and those I felt were perfectly fine as well. In contrast to maybe BJU history, I thought that was too much. So just to kind of give you an idea on, because, if I say, oh, it's not a lot of biblical content, you need to have some sort of context to break it down into, right? What does that mean? Not a lot, So if you're familiar with any of those, hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of a scale in terms of what I mean by that. Let's go ahead and let's take one of these. Now we have gotten up to we've completed the first 3 lessons of this, and we're on lesson 4. So this is not like any kind of review by any means. I'm just kind of like flip through it and give you guys like the lay of the land on what it looks like to be so far. So in here you have like all the materials that you're going to need broken up by lesson. And I'm not going to spend too much time on that because I think what we're mainly concerned with is like the heart of the curriculum, right? What does it look like? So I'm going to get up close, and that way you guys can see that what it's basically doing is it's going through scientists and philosophers from ancient times and what their big ideas were, like what their big scientific revelations were, what they discovered, what they hypothesized, and things of that sort. So then it takes you in chronological order in here through them all. And these are all people that we would want to learn about anyway, like Aristotle, Plato, these are people that we would want to dive into a little bit more anyway. So then you go into that, and then it gets into the Middle Ages in here, and then science in the late Middle Ages, and then you get into like the Da Vinci era. So then you have Leonardo da Vinci and all that kind of stuff. So you're going to be covering those people and what their big inventions are. So it is very, very similar to Apologia, which makes sense because this Dr. J. Weil used to, in the past, be the writer for a lot of Apologia's science and broke away from them and ended up creating his own line of curriculum, and this is it. So it's a very conversational tone. I feel like it's very interesting. It's very relatable. It's not just like science, 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 and it's like making your eyes like glaze over. But the content in it is, that's why I'm not quite so sure about kindergarten, first grade, second grade, even third grade, you know? I think right at fourth grade to sixth grade and above, I think would be perfectly, like, I think that is probably a more realistic age range for this. So I kind of paused in here long enough so maybe you guys can like stop the video and kind of see for yourself what it is. But all the lessons are somewhat short. And so this is how it works. You have a lesson. They tell you a little bit about what you're going to be studying and the main idea and all that stuff. Then they hit you up with a experiment to do in the middle of the lesson. So you're not done with the lesson. Normally you have these at the end of a lesson. In here, it's more like in the middle of the lesson. So then you have your lesson to do, and then they break it down for you, and then you have a lesson review. So it talks about what you may have found in doing the experiment, and then it breaks it down for you, this lesson review. And that's it to the lesson. So you see, now we're in lesson 2, and they merged math with science in this one. And you're learning about a different philosopher. So Thales, right? Is that how you say his name? Thales. So you're learning about him. And then right here, they hit you up with the experiment here. But it's not over, because after the experiment, the lesson's not over. So it's kind of like in the middle, then you have an experiment, and then you continue on discussing it over here. And they always give you the lesson review. And I like that lesson review. I thought that that was a really handy touch. And then lesson 3. So now you have lesson 3. This is the one that we just did today. And this is about how math played into music and how Pythagoras, these names are going to be the death of me, how he really loved music and wanted to figure out wanted to have a mathematical way of like explaining pitch and sound and stuff. And so we did this really neat experiment in here with rubber bands, which my boys were like Mr. Know-it-alls, because they're really into, one plays a guitar, one plays bass. And so they were like, oh yeah, mom, like I know this stuff. But it was still really cool to see the science behind it, and that the knowledge of this actually came from someone a long time ago, before they were ever thought of, right? And so you have the lesson in here, and then you go through and you have the stuff, and then lesson review. So same flow. The lessons are not long at all. So you'll see for tomorrow's lesson, we're going to be talking about what is pitch. And I'll kind of like slow it down right here so you can pause the video and you can see. And then you're doing your experiment. So you're going to be studying vibrations and how sounds I don't know. Sound is a wave. We'll learn tomorrow. And then you're going to be talking about it. And then you're going to go over the different like sound waves, the crest, the troughs. And then you continue on through this page, and then you have this lesson review. And that's it. That's it. And then you're going to be going through all these different concepts. So there's anatomy stuff in here. There is astronomy concepts in here. There is push and pull things in here. There's light. There's refractions of light and light waves. You're going to obviously be talking about sound waves, lenses, magnifications. Yeah, the human body right here. So it looks like vocal cords and respiration you're going to be talking about. Let's see what that lesson is in here. Oh, this looks interesting. So the voice, so the larynx. You're going to be talking about it. Okay. I don't know how to say half these words. That's always a death of me when it comes to like these things. I'm like, for a lot of it, I wish there was like an audio, because I don't know how to say half these words, but we're going to figure it out. So anyway, so a lot of anatomy, a lot of physics, a lot of like some chemistry in here. So what is this? Siphoning water. So you're going to be going into that. Yeah, siphons. What is this? Oh, so you're talking about science soon after Christ. So this is the only reference really, honestly, that I've seen, is it divides science into science before Christ, science after Christ, you know? But honestly, I haven't really seen like anything that jumps out as being too like much. For those of you who prefer secular curriculum, I think that in my personal opinion, you'd be fine. So then here's like an Aristotle lesson that you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing something. Oh, shadows on a sphere. So all sorts of stuff. All the lessons are really simple, nothing too fancy or complicated. Like, look at this one. You're going to be doing a model of the universe, and you're going to be doing something like that, you know? So there you go, guys. I hope that this was helpful. Look, in here, you're going to be going into optics on how the camera works. Well, that is interesting. That's cool. So anyway, I don't know how it's going to play out. I really hope that it's something that we end up really enjoying. I really honestly hope so. But this will legit take you like an entire school year unless you double up on some lessons. So let me take you back through the table of contents so we can look at that again. So you have 90 lessons. So you have 90 lessons. So you guys can do the math and see how long that would take you. Obviously, you can't do one lesson a week because that's going to take you 90. That's going to take you 90 weeks, you know? So even if you did 2 lessons a week, that would take you 45 weeks, which is probably still a little long for some of you, right? So you're probably going to want to do an average of 2 to 3 lessons from here to get it done in a traditional 1-year span. If you do a lesson every single day, you'll probably go through it a little bit quicker. And then there's other books in this series. So remember, after Science in the Ancient World, it's going to take you to the next step, which is probably the Middle Ages, I'm guessing. And then the next step, early modern times. And then the next one, which is modern times probably. And it's going to give you relevant people in that era and the discoveries and hypotheses that they made. Okay, and one other thing before I forget, because I was about to sign off and then I totally forgot that I wanted to cover this. So these are notebooks that come for free that you can download on their website that come with the book. So you don't have to purchase the book to get this, but obviously this is not going to make any sense to you unless you have the book, you know? And they have 2 different versions of this, and I have... so you have a lab and review level 2 for your oldest kiddos that are going to be using it. So those in the higher age range, right? Like your 6th graders or 7th graders. And then you have level 1, which is just older students. And this is what I'm having my younger one do. So this is our next lesson up that we're going to be doing tomorrow. And I just kind of wanted to show it to you, the difference between the 2. So for this one, you have fill in the blank, and you have that one, which you have to fill in what the right word is, which looks about the same. It looks about the same from the big boy one to the younger one. Then you have this over here, draw a picture of a sound wave, labeling the crests and troughs and what is frequency. Okay, so far the exact same thing, right? But then down here, I think they put in an extra question. So they have, how does frequency relate to pitch? How does the amount of air in the crest relate to volume? And over here, you see you have an extra question. So the same question, how does frequency relate to pitch? How does the amount of air in the crest relate to volume, right? That's the same over here so far, except now you have an extra question. Why do you take a deep breath before shouting really loudly? So that's been my experience, is that it's kind of very similar, except this one may have an additional problem or 2 or something deeper for them to think about. And so what you're going to want is, if you're going to utilize this and you're taking advantage of the free notebook that they have there to go along with the book, one thing you will have to purchase, and I don't remember how much it was, but it wasn't like more than $5, I think, is the answer. So this helps and hints is the answer to this. And I didn't know, when I went to go purchase it, I had to get on with customer service to find out, like, well, I got this in the mail. So I got this in the mail like this, and I printed this out. And I was like, well, where do I get the answers to this, right? And they said, oh, that's what the helps and hints is. So when I went in to place my second order to get an additional one of this, I went ahead and purchased this one. And so here are your answers. And it's literally exactly just your answers in here. So I have it bookmarked here, and I'll show you. So you see how they have it broken up by lesson 6, lesson 7, lesson 8. And so I have it over here to lesson 4, because this is what we're going to be doing. And these are the answers to the worksheets, and you'll see older students, oldest students. So they have it broken down in here. So you're going to want to get that. So don't make the mistake I did. And it's only like $5. So you're going to want this if you're going to want to do the notebooking and the lab work to go along with it. But every single lesson is going to have the lab work. You're going to have some sort of hands-on component to everything. There isn't a single lesson in here that you aren't going to be diving into. So you have magnets in here. And this is cool. You're looking at fuel and how it burns, I think. Yeah, you're going to be going into that. So anyway, so this is, I like it. You can see how curved and flat mirrors work with vision and light beams. So a lot of stuff that I don't think that we've covered. I really hope that we enjoy it. And we'll see though. We'll see at the end of the year. Maybe I'll do like a review on what we thought of it and stuff. But this is the plan. This is what we're going to be doing in conjunction with some other things. So let me go get that actually really quick. Okay, I'm not going to take out the whole shebang. I'm not going to take out all my core knowledge stuff. But this is one of my binders for core knowledge that I prepared, that the video is going to be coming soon on how I organized and did it all. But I have my units in here. So we have the human body from core knowledge that we're going to be doing, and astronomy from core knowledge. In addition to, I believe there's 3 or 4 other units that we're going to get in throughout the year. This is a video for a whole nother day. Anytime we go into a core knowledge, I feel like it just needs a more thorough explanation. So it's not as easy to just jump in and out of. So that's going to come at a different time. The only other thing is this, and I'm going to go get my laptop so I can show it to you guys. Okay, so for my 6th grader, the plan is to get him the middle school Apologia General Science. And I haven't technically purchased it yet, but that is the plan. And since they're having the sale for one more day, I feel very pressured right now. And so I'm probably going to do it so I have it. But I do like, from the samples that I saw, I like the way that they have it laid out. So technically this starts in the 7th grade, but we will be starting it in 6th grade. And then it will most definitely probably carry over into 7th grade. So we're going to do the textbook. I think I'm going to do the audio, the videos to go along with it, and then the notebook. So that is the plan. That's the plan, guys. If you guys have any questions, drop them below. If you guys like this kind of stuff, then subscribe, because I like talking about this stuff. So we're a perfect match. So subscribe, guys. But hopefully this has been helpful.